This week on We Recommend, we're going to work. Our first game is News Tower, a challenging management sim where you build your own news tycoon. So if you've ever wanted to feel the chaos of working in the media, you'll have a great time with this one. So for this week on We Recommend, I got to try News Tower, which is a management sim RPG, something that I don't normally cover on this channel. But this was a game that I've seen kind of making the rounds a little bit on LinkedIn of all places. I haven't really seen social media talking about it very much, but some of my PR friends were kind of sharing how much they were loving this game, and I was recommended I try it out because guess what our job is, being a media company. So I was like, fuck it. This sounds like up my alley.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of like Game Dev Tycoon, like those old Tycoon games that were big 15 years ago.
It's funny you mentioned that because in my notes I put that exact game in there. Is that this has a very similar loop to Game Dev Tycoon, with a lot more mechanics to contend with. So the general loop of this game is you are kind of building a, you guessed it, news tower, kind of starting from like ground zero of building your reporter desks and your typewriter, or your typists, and kind of doing like the whole like running a newspaper company, and you basically hire different people for different jobs. So you have like your reporters, you have your people that kind of gather the information, you have your people that assemble the newspaper, you have people that clean your place, people that keep your news tower stocked.
And this is 30s era, so there's no like social media managers or anything like that, right?
No, they're not social media managers. It seems like a much nicer time, except there's some RPG mechanics in this where like almost like a dice roll happens, and when you cover certain stories that are like crime, you might piss off the mob, and the mob might come into your news tower and break your shit.
This sounds a little bit like Citizen Sleeper with the dice, which seems very exciting. This is up my alley.
Yeah, there's not actual dice, but like it's a meter that kind of chooses kind of what happens. But it's I'm really enjoying the loop of it. It's actually not an easy game to play like at all. I would say it's you have so many different things to kind of manage as you go. So like you got to go pick which stories you want to cover, and if you like your newspaper kind of uses like if you cover crime and kind of mix and match those stories together, you get boosts for how many readers you get, and you have to you get this big map, and basically you got to choose the districts that you want to serve your newspaper to, and then those districts have like kind of expectations for what you cover. So some districts might want you to cover sports, some districts might want crime, some districts might want like inspiring stories, and so you need to hopefully get those kind of stories covered, and then you have like a limited amount of time each week as well to cover those stories. So you have paper has to go out every Sunday, and so you have to like time management, send the right reporters to the right jobs so that they get it done, and then make sure that your assemblers are happy and getting things done on time.
Yeah, there's not enough time to cover everything, I'm assuming. So you have to make some tough choices with what to cut.
Yeah, it's actually like mind-blowing. Like I've never worked in like a traditional newsroom like that, but I also know how they operate because I went to school for this and everything, and I've worked at a school newspaper that had a similar thing of like we had tight deadlines, and we had to go out and go talk to people in town to get stories. And like this really does a good job of like emulating that experience of get the reporting done. Do you want to do a follow-up on it? Do you want to keep chasing the story, or do you think you've covered enough and let it be? And then like sometimes you might put a whole week into one story and you still can't get it out in time, and the next week it's not worth as much anymore.
It's too real.
When you print it, yeah, exactly. So when you print it, you actually lose like readership and money because you're late, outdated and nobody gives a shit anymore.
Yeah, I'm noticing it on the Steam page too. It seems like this is set in like somewhat realistic-ish 30s. Like there are screenshots that are bringing up like the rise of Nazi power in Europe, and then like Al Capone being indicted. So like, does it pull from a lot of kind of familiar historical elements?
Yeah. A lot of the news stories cover all kinds of like actual historical events and everything, and like they don't go in like it's not like you're getting a full write up of a story. It's like headlines, and stuff like that. But it is interesting. Like, man, do I pick Al Capone for the headline this week, or do I pick the Pope doing something? So it actually does teach you like a lot about like media management and like how do you just organize a newspaper by what should be your top headline? Should it always be crime, or like what kind of newspaper do you want to be? Do you want to be a sensationalist paper? Do you want to be an informationalist paper? Do you want to be a moderate paper that kind of gives you a mix of both? Do you want to be a sports paper? Yeah, you can kind of like build your whole paper and like how you feel. You can even build your paper on like what politics you want to be, left or right,
to push an agenda.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like where another part of those RPG mechanics come in is, the city might offer you a bribe to not cover a story, or the mob might threaten you or give you specific tasks to complete. So there is so much going on in this game, and I really love it. I haven't gotten that far into it because, like I said, it's quite hard. My best run, it's not even a roguelite, but it almost feels like one. There's permanent progression and all that every time you start your newspaper, and you unlock all kinds of different like new tools and trinkets and stuff like that then kind of improve your workers' morale and their productivity and everything. So, but yeah, like trying to stay out of debt with a newspaper. Guess what?
Yeah,
it's
it was.
Really hard.
It turns out it's impossible now, and it was pretty damn tough 100 years ago. So yeah,
yeah, especially when you're selling newspapers for 3 cents. So yeah, I heartily recommend this game. Like if you loved Game Dev Tycoon, like this fits that with so much more depth. And I'm surprised we haven't seen more coverage of it. It seems to have had a really strong early access launch, but I think it really quietly came out in 1.0.
Yeah, it looks like it came out right before the Thanksgiving holiday here in the US. And it's got really great reviews, but I don't know. This is something that actually seems up my alley. And it's this is PC only. I'm assuming this seems very PC-ish.
PC only right now, yeah. And I think so. I definitely see this coming.
Okay, yeah. Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check this one out. And there's a free demo, so there you go. No reason not to try it.
Milano's Odd Job Collection is a gorgeous 1999 Japan-only cozy PS1 game that has finally gotten an official translation and release here in the West 26 years later.
My suggestion this week is a game called Milano's Odd Job Collection. And this name might be familiar to some people because this is actually a 26-year-old game, but hear me out. This originally came out on the PS1 back in 1999, so like the late stages of the PS1. Never left Japan, never got an English translation. One of those many, many dozens of games that have kind of got left by the wayside there because it is kind of a weird, cozy game, and that niche didn't exist in the US then. However, it just got brought over to the US to PC, Switch, and all consoles by Xseed and Marvelous, and finally got translated by a translator online who I've been following for a long time named Hilltop, and they've done fan translations of stuff like Dr. Slump, and probably most famously the Boku no Natsuyasume games, which are my summer vacation games, which have a huge cult following. But Milano's Odd Job collection has this gorgeous, chunky sprite work, and it starts out, you're this 11-year-old girl, their parents are leaving for a month in the summer, for 40 days, and they're like, okay, you're going to stay with your uncle, but it turns out your uncle has also left, so you're just home alone for 40 days, but you're not pulling a Kevin McAllister and like fighting robbers or anything. You're like a good kid in your uncle's empty house, and you're like, I'm going to get jobs throughout the summer, and I'm going to make money and surprise my parents when they get back. So the game, the loop is...
That's not realistic. You throw a party for...
It is not real. An 11-year-old would never do this.
40-year-old
However,
party.
You live in Zucchini Town. And if I lived in Zucchini Town, I might do that. And so every morning you wake up and you get to choose one thing to do during the day and then 2 things to do at night. So a little bit Persona-ish time management there. But during the day, you can choose one of... there's 8 different jobs you can get in town. So you go to the town map and then you see certain jobs are only available on certain days of the week or in certain weather. And so maybe you go to a bakery and your job that day is to help them bake the cakes. And so that mini game is kind of a quick match 3 game where you need to match the chocolate, but make sure none of the germs get near it. And I don't know why there's germs in a bakery. I guess bakeries probably have germs. Seems like something they would have. And then there's other jobs like you are milking flying cows at a ranch, but you have to watch out for these little animals that are trying to run you over. The better you do the job, the more money you get. The more money you you get in the evening, you can go home and you have your empty little house you wander around. You can stock it with furniture. So you look in a catalog and you can buy new furniture. And that's when it starts feeling a little bit like Animal Crossing, which for $19.99 is kind of mind-boggling.
You're an 11-year-old child stocking your house with
You're technically stocking your uncle's
like
house,
candy.
which is weird. And so you open up your catalog every night. You're like, okay, I have enough money for a chair with a frog's face on it. However, I don't have enough money for a flat screen TV and a video game system. So maybe that's something I save for. And then your character has these 3 stats that you look at. It's like mood, energy, and skill. And you can raise those by, in the evening, you can choose to like make food for your cat. And that raises one of your skills. Or you could choose to do your laundry, and that raises one of your skills. And the higher those skills get, the better you can do at your jobs. So maybe your jobs, you have more time to complete them, or you can raise the skill level on them and you can make more money. Like the jobs will be tougher. There'll be more flying cows to milk, but you get more of a reward for doing it. And so it has this loop where, you know, every day it says 39 days till mom gets home, 38 days till mom gets home. But there's not like, this is extremely like late 90s anime cozy core. So it's not like Majora's Mask where there's a time limit and like the moon's going to crush you. It's very much like just hang out for the summer and do what you want. Like if you don't want to do a job for a day, you can go to a park and just eat popcorn. And there's just a scene where the girl's eating popcorn and you can just linger on that for like 20 minutes if you want to just eat popcorn at a park. The thing I love 2 things about this game. One, I am kind of obsessed with finding these weird games from Gaming Pass that kind of got lost to time and getting like shining a light on them in modern days. And we're seeing that. I love seeing stuff like the Tomba collection come out, or the Gex games, or even Moon get a translation. I think it's really cool, especially when you can see the kernel of like, oh, this is kind of where cozy games would end up going in the modern age, but 25 years ago. And I also love supporting what originally started out this Hilltop guy as an amateur translator who is now like on official games being published by Marvelous and Xseed. So I absolutely love that. If you're a fan of cozy games, kind of weird PS1 novelties, or just supporting these kinds of treasures that are dug up from Gaming Pass, highly recommend Milano's Odd Job collection.
Reminds me of the without the combat of like Fantasy Life.
Yeah, honestly, a little bit of that. It even has like a similar vibe to that, where it is like you wake up every morning, you're like, what do you want to do? You can go work at the burger shop, you can go wash dishes at the restaurant, or if you are just obsessed with decking out your house, you can go buy a cool frog chair in your uncle's house, and I'm sure your uncle won't get mad at that.
So I might have missed it. Like, what's the win state or narrative?
There's
of
not.
this?
No,
is
it is.
One?
You just
okay.
It counts down every day. So it's 40 days until mom gets back. So 39 days, 38 days. I don't believe there's a fail state. If you fail one of the games, you just go home. You didn't make any money.
So you could just go eat popcorn every day.
So you could literally eat popcorn every day. Maybe not on the rainy days. On the rainy days, you can't eat any popcorn. But yeah, it is very.
You need popcorn in the rain.
No, you don't want mushy popcorn whatsoever. But yeah, it is very, this is very much the sort of speed of a game for specific people. Like if you're looking for something with real structure or stakes, this is not it. But this is, when we talk about kind of vibes-based cozy games, it's cool to see that this existed in 1999, but they just didn't think there was an audience for it in the West. And then it's funny to flash forward a quarter century later, and now these kinds of cozy games, low-stakes cozy games are some of the biggest games year in and year out on Steam.
I want to leave you with I want to leave you and the audience with a fun fact.
Ooh, give it to me.
I was 4 years old when this game came out.
Look at that. You were almost, you could have grown up to become Milano if your parents would have just left you home for 40 days of the summer, and you could have got your job milking flying cows.
Editor-in-chief jobs when I could just be eating popcorn every day.
Eating popcorn at the park and milking flying cows at the ranch.
News Tower is available now on Steam for $24.99. Milano's Odd Job collection is available now on Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch for $14.99.